Hey guys, I thought that I met the love of my life, but it turns out she was nothing more than a gold digger. But that's not where the story ends. I found out that she's going after somebody else. Somebody that I know. Somebody that I'm acquaintances with. And you know what? I'm not going to allow them to sit there and suffer from her like I suffered from. Guys, I'm going to tell them everything about Lily. Hello guys, I'm OP. I'm 35, and I was just reading a post about some of the, biggest coincidences you would ever face in life, and I think I have one for you. Before I get into the coincidence, though, I do need to start from the beginning so you can even understand the coincidence that I'm talking about. Well, my parents, they came to the USA and worked long hours, so my sister and I would be able to have, a better life. They never pressured me to do well in school, but they did go ahead to encourage me. The gentle encouragement, it helped me to get some good grades, and my grades were so good that I ended up getting a scholarship, and it actually paid for my entire schooling. I got a bachelor's and then went to grad school because I wanted to further my education. However, before I went to grad school, I decided to get a job at a bank while I went to grad school in the meantime. The scholarship I got this time only partially paid for everything, so I wanted to be able to pay for my schooling. My attitude was always humble. I came from nothing and knew hard work was the only way to get somewhere. You could not cut corners no matter how much you wanted to. Besides, there was something satisfying about doing hard work. I know this was not a mindset that everybody shared. Honestly, this was their choice, but working hard was necessary for me to get places. I believed that. With working full-time and going to grad school part-time, I was pretty swamped. I barely had time to go to weekly family dinners and talk to my friends on the phone or even online. However, like I said, this did not make me feel burnt out. It just pushed me to work even harder. The one thing that was not on my radar was dating. I just saw no need for it. But one day, Lily walked into the bank. She was a pretty woman who just moved to town. Since this was the case, she needed to open a new bank account, hence why she walked in the first place. I helped her, and she would playfully flirt with me for the next few months. There was a part of me that wanted to be receptive to it, but I forced myself to stay professional. Under no circumstances could I give in. Work and school were what I needed to focus on, and I'd say about a year after we met, Lily asked me out. I was so taken aback by it that I wasn't sure what to say. She took my silence as a yes, and she went ahead to try to plan the date. Well, I debated whether or not to contact her during the rest of the workday, and I just went ahead to end up contacting her that evening. We talked for a while, deciding that we were going to go to a local restaurant. From there, a significant relationship formed. Or so we thought. Lily seemed like a hard worker or portrayed herself as one. She works full-time in an office and was constantly telling me how she wanted to rise to the top, possibly even ending up as a team lead. I supported her, of course. Eventually, I graduated and continued to work at the bank. Lily and I were getting very close at this time, closer than ever. We moved in together, but I was planning to propose to her. It was a big step, but I knew I wanted to marry her. You've probably guessed this did not work out, and you know what? You might also be wondering if I ever saw any red flags. I did not. I did not see any until I finally proposed to her, and after that I did start to see some red flags from there. She suddenly seemed critical that I wasn't making enough money and wanted me to quit my job for a better paying one. You know what? I was planning to get another job soon, but I was waiting for the right one to come by. The bank, it was paying well enough, so I saw no reason why I should not just continue working there. The switch was like day and night. However, I ignored the issues I was seeing because I was in love, or what I thought was love. Before we even got to the wedding planning, I discovered Lily was talking to the other guys online. I was willing to forgive this, but she ended up breaking up with me once I confronted her about it. According to Lily, I wasn't trying hard enough. I had a lot of potential, but I was wasting it. She deserved to be treated like a princess, and with my current job, I just couldn't hack it. Honestly, I was shocked by the words coming out of her mouth.
My family and my friends, they did not seem surprised. They told me that they always thought something was off with Lily, but could never figure out what exactly that it was. The breakup devastated me because we had spent so many years together. Things may have been going in the wrong direction towards the end, but I was still convinced I was going to spend the rest of my life with her. Well, once she moved out, I fell into a short depression, until one day I woke up and realized that sitting here wallowing in self-pity was not going to help me at all. If anything, it was going to give Lily satisfaction, so I decided to look forward to the future and go ahead to improve myself. It was not easy. Just because I was in a mindset that I was going to do this did not mean I did it overnight. I had to work at it, but eventually I was able to get there. Soon, Lily was just a bad memory, and I moved on with my life. While I had not found myself a girlfriend yet that I clicked with, I did have a lot of great friends, and you know what? A great job. After finding work at the bank for years, I found a job for myself. It was a financial advisor at this giant corporation. This job was very well paying. The longer I worked there, the more money I would end up making. The years passed pretty quickly, and I was able to buy myself a nice house in a great neighborhood. The great thing is, I was able to put a substantial down payment on it. Much to my relief. My parents could never buy a house, instead they spent most of their life renting, so this was a big deal. I also gave them money only when they needed it. My parents didn't ask for it, but you know what? They were my parents. They helped me, so naturally I would help them to the best of my abilities. The longer I worked at the company, as a financial advisor, the more clients I got. Some were great, some were okay, and others were outright annoying. One of my favorite clients was a guy with a name of Nathaniel. He was the man in his 40s and started a company young, eventually growing it to a very successful business. A few years ago, he sold it to a high bidder. Now, I would describe him as a multimillionaire. He was the exact type of person I looked up to. Nathaniel got to where he was because of hard work and never took anything for granted. Like me, he was a humble guy. From the moment I had assigned him, we just got along well. I would not call us friends because there was a professional line that I draw. I have to maintain it, but I thought fondly of him. Of course, I did have him for a while, so he did share part of his personal life. It was just bound to happen. We would talk as we visited the office and telling me what he was up to, and I would just do the same. During one of the visits, he told me that he's been dating this woman and was crazy about her. I smiled at him and asked him how serious it was, and Nathan did remark that he was considering proposing to her, but he just needed to find the right place and ring. He wanted absolutely everything to be perfect. You might be wondering where that confidence comes from, which I mentioned at the beginning of my post. Don't worry, we're finally getting there now. The woman that Nathaniel was getting engaged to was none other than Lily. That's right, my ex-fiance. When he first expressed that he would propose to his fiancée, I did not know who he was talking about. As far as I knew, it was any other woman and not the woman who had broken my heart. Then he came in one day saying he proposed. He was excited and wanted to show me a picture of his fiancée with the ring on. It was so difficult not to contain my gasp as a surprise shock came through me when he showed me the picture. I knew right away it was Lily. She had not changed a bit and looked as good as she did years back. However, there was still that glint in her eye and told me that she was up to something. All I could think was that there was no way Lily felt the same way about Nathaniel. She could not have changed, which was why I didn't say anything. But there was this nagging feeling in the back of my mind. What if Lily was the same gold-digging person she was from years ago? She might be marrying Nathaniel just because he was a multi-millionaire. I hated the idea of Nathaniel going through this business when he was such a good guy. He deserved to be with somebody who loved him regardless of how much money that he made. It would have been a different story if Lily had clarified that this was why she was marrying him. But she was not as honest as she could be. She lured you in and then dug her claws so deep into you that you cannot leave. The only difference between Nathaniel and me is that I wasn't rich then. Lily did not have to push Nathaniel to work or wait for him to make money. It was already done long before she came into the picture. Thankfully, Nathaniel was utterly oblivious to the look on my face and kept gushing about the upcoming wedding. This had to be the biggest coincidence I've ever experienced in my entire life. In this situation, it's a lose-lose, man. Either I keep my mouth shut and don't warn Nathaniel, which could doom him for life, or do I say something and risk being wrong and losing one of my favorite clients? It's safe to say that when I went home that evening, I have no idea what I would do. The situation was so crappy that it seemed like there was no good option for me. I ended up talking to my sister about it, and she was one of my closest confidants and told me I should speak to him about my experience. What he decided to do with that information was with him. Despite my sister's advice, I still had no idea what the hell I was going to do. There was one thing I was sure of. I need to hurry up and do something before Nathaniel married Lily. Then it's going to be too late. I mean, imagine for a second if he did marry her. It could end up being the biggest mistake of his life. She would take him for all that he's worth, once she was sure that she had hooks inside of him. I had no idea if he was getting a prenup or not, but I'm leaning towards it now. Nathaniel never mentioned anything about it, so I wasn't sure what to think. Like I said, I'm going to have to stop and think about this. I don't want to lose a client, but I also don't want to sentence a guy to a lifetime of unhappiness. I mean, come on. Whenever I figure out what I'll do, I will update you guys. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. If you think today's story has, reached its maximum potential, you have seen nothing yet because, when OP decides what to do, it might shock you. Guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, take a second, hit that subscribe button for daily stories, and also, while you're at it, drop a like if you're enjoying this video. Here is the first update, guys, and I hope you're having a great day. Update number 1. I've been dealing with a lot of indecision for the past few days. If you remember my original post, I was talking about a random coincidence that I came across. I found out a few weeks ago that one of my current clients, Nathaniel, happened to be getting married to my ex. This ex was named Lily, and I loved her. We broke up because I wasn't making enough money for her likings, and I realized that she was nothing more than a dirty gold digger. There wasn't enough gold to dig here while she was with me, so she created and eventually broke up with me. I moved on with my life, and I was pretty happy. Learning that Nathaniel was marrying Lily did not make me jealous or anything, honestly. What I was concerned about, actually, was that I was half sure that she was only marrying Nathaniel because he was rich. People could change, I know, but you know what doesn't usually change? A gut feeling. The last time you heard, I was trying to figure out whether or not I should bother warning Nathaniel, just to give him a bit of a heads up. If it ended up being nothing, then I could rest easy, but at least Nathaniel would know the truth. Eventually, I decided to sit down with Nathaniel and tell him everything. He was about to leave after our meeting when I told him I need to say something. I told Nathaniel point blank, looking me in the eyes, that I used to date Lily, and everything I experienced, and under no circumstance was I trying to say that he was still, going to go through what I did, but I thought that he had the right to know. What happened next was so surprising. Nathaniel went utterly quiet for a while, but he then admitted that the family had warned him about Lily getting bad vibes about her. Recently, he was sent some messages from a former friend of Lily who had heard Lily bragging about marrying a rich guy and making it big. He tried to ignore it, thinking it wasn't real or just a one-off thing, but now, after hearing what I said, it made him realize that everything he worried about was indeed true. Once he absorbed my words, he started asking me questions about my relationship, wanting to know whatever I would be willing to tell him. I told him everything I could remember about her, but none was perfect. The relationship ended up having a lot of red flags as I looked back upon it. However, I made sure to tell him that it was his decision. If he wanted to stay with her, do it. This was his decision, so. A few days later, Nathaniel arrives at the office when he had not even had a meeting with me. He told me he's decided to break up with her, but wasn't sure when to do it. Well, I didn't want to influence him or pry, so I told him that whatever decision he makes, I would support. Nathaniel was a good guy and deserved to have somebody who would love him. I asked him what finally helped him change his mind. Nathaniel said he looked at some of her text messages and confirmed indeed what he thought was true. Lily was only marrying him because she wanted his money. He told me that he'd contacted me a couple of weeks and updated me. It was the least that he could do. So after I stuck my neck out there for him, but you know what? If he did not contact me, I would not be hurt by that either. I've been hurt and gone through enough, so why add to it? Update number 2. Quick note. The reason for this new update is that Nathaniel decided to break up with Lucy at the wedding, and I was right there in the back. This is what went down. The wedding is where Nathaniel broke up with her. It was quite a grand affair, an expensive wedding dress, venue, food, you name it. He went all out because he was trying to make Lily happy and not make her suspicious. Nathaniel could afford to blow some money on an expensive wedding like this, no problem. So, you also have to keep this in mind, and I asked if Lily was aware of anything that was happening. But he told me no. She was just completely oblivious. He said this was the most challenging part because during the moments, it almost felt like how it was before Nathaniel was given truth about anything. I'd been in the same boat just a few days ago, so I got it. At least he learned it before he got married, and once you're married, your assets were tied together to the point where there's no untangling them under any circumstances. And guys, if you're wondering how I know all this, like I said, I was there. Initially, I had no plans to go, but Nathaniel invited me. He said if anyone deserved to see Lily get some karmic justice, well, it's going to be me. It was during the actual vows that Nathan told me he broke up with her. To make it even sweeter, he said this during an objection section. Everyone seemed shocked that Nathaniel was objecting to his own wedding and telling Lily he didn't want to marry her. He was hurt, so he ended up yelling about everything that he learned about her and how he did it. Nathaniel even took screenshots, sent them to himself, and then printed them out for everybody, which he showed off at the wedding. This was pretty awesome, I have to add. Well, during the rant, he said he did not mention me. But I told him if Lily ever asked, he was free to say it. I wasn't afraid of her and wanted her to know that I was the one to blow up her relationship. It sounds like I'm being petty at this point, but I swear I'm not trying to do this for that reason. She just needed to be given a taste of her own medicine. Lily can go on and date whomever she wants. It's for the money. Fine. However, this should be mutual. The person she's dating should be aware of this and not be strung along believing Lily genuinely loves them. I then watched Lily throw the bouquet of flowers at him and tried to attack him physically. However, he was held back because some of the bridesmaids pulled her. Lily did have a little bit of a temper, something I learned early into the relationship, but it was never directed towards me. So I just did not think of anything of it. Now I realized it was the indicator of what she could do. After that, everybody starts to whisper amongst themselves, and people began to fill out of the church one by one. Ensuring I would not be seen, I ducked behind. If Lily had known I was there, I would have gotten into chaos. I told Nathaniel that I'd do anything in my power to help him. If I could help him, then I would try to do it. He thanked me, telling me that he would take a few days off and just go out of the country to get his head on straight. Update number 3. Guys, somehow Lily found out I warned Nathaniel and that I was at the wedding somewhere behind. Well, Nathaniel swore up and down it wasn't him, so it must have been somebody he was talking to who spilled the beans to her. I wasn't angry at whoever did it because they had their reasons, but I won't lie, it was going to bring about a lot of drama in my life. Once Lily and I broke up, I realized how chaotic my life had been. I had not been happy and was just going through the motions. Her leaving me was one of the best things that she could have ever done. Someday soon, Nathaniel would see that finding out the truth about Lily was the best for him as well. It would get him away from somebody who only cared about his money. I found out Lily learned it was me who warned Nathaniel and that I was actually there at the wedding, so I got a nasty message on social media. All I did was send her a smiley emoji, which angered her even more, and this caused Lily to send message after message after message, threatening me that I was going to pay for talking away her chance at happiness. You mean your attempt at becoming a multi-millionaire without doing any hard work is basically what she said. I wrote back to her that, and I was at the point where I did not need to bite my tongue. Whatever anger I held towards her, I'm going to let out. Nothing was going to make me back down. Well, I must have got her good, because one of my days off, I learned that Lily had tried to go into the office without permission. They warned me that she was looking for me and would go to my house next. It was easy to find this information online, apparently, so I had no idea how she even found me. So I waited for her to show up at my home, but she never showed. I figured she decided it's a bad idea to come here. Ended up not being able to find the address, I don't know, but the truth is, she got into an accident. While Lily was driving here, she was driving like a crazy person. This ended up with her car crashing into another car and getting injured. It wasn't a life-threatening injury, but she did have to be hospitalized. I never wanted her to get hurt or anything. However, this was Lily's own doing. If she had not been so overcome by rage, then she would not have gotten into an accident. Nathaniel, he reached out to me a few days after Lily's accident. He said that she managed to contact him through one of her family members and asked him if he could help her. The audacity of her. She claimed that since this was partly his fault, he could help out. Since it was also my fault, I had to contribute as well. Lily did just get into a bad accident, so I wondered if there was some head trauma there or something because she's lost her marbles. This could have been clouding her judgment, but then again, I knew what kind of woman Lily was. It was expected that she would not take responsibility for an accident that was entirely her fault. Again, I didn't wish any physical harm upon her, obviously. I did want her to have a speedy recovery. But that was all I was required to give her, my blessing. Anything else was beyond what I was expected to provide. She would get on her feet, and if not, then Lily had no one to blame but herself for the situation. Final update. Well, so I did not think I'd be updating again, after learning that my ex-fiance ended up in an accident because she was in such a hurry to confront me. I thought that would be the end of it again, and I did not feel any pity for her, outside of wanting her to recover because she did this to herself. Yet, as you can see, I'm back with a wild ending. First, let me say that these past few months have been good for Nathaniel. He's bounced back from the whole situation with Lily, though he has told me he's not ready to date again. The two of us have forged a friendship outside of me being a financial advisor. Because of this, I've referred him to somebody else because I don't want that conflict of interest. Luckily, Nathaniel was more than understanding about this. I like understanding and rationale people, which was something Lily was never. Anyways, back to the Lily topic. She ended up spending some time in the hospital, and she ended up having to leave her job. Now she's unemployed, trying to figure out what she's going to do now that she can't work. See, Lily has nobody but herself to blame. If she had not let her temper get the better of her, everything would have been fine. I heard she did try reaching out to Nathaniel to ask for help. Nathaniel was a great guy, but he said after what she did to him, he wasn't going to give her a cent. Well, I was entirely on his side because there's no reason for him to give out his hard-earned money. If he had told me I would have told him it was the wrong thing to do. For a second, I wondered if she would end up reaching out to me, but I don't think she's that crazy. I had not heard from her since she sent all those crazy messages on Facebook. Maybe she realized that speeding and getting into an accident was a very, very dumb decision. Since her tirade, I had not blocked her because I wanted to see how crazy crap that she can get to. If anything, I found it amusing at this point, and in any way, there was only so much bullcrap I was willing to put up with. So, that's where everything is at right now, guys. Lily is not a good sport. But getting involved with Nathaniel has one benefit. It had Nathaniel and I forging a nice friendship. I had a selected group of friends, not very many, but enough that I was comfortable. How somebody can continue to blow up their life year after year is beyond me. Lily is lucky she has her family behind her who are really behind her, because they don't really get in contact with her that much. Otherwise, she would be in such a deep hole. Again, Lily's family is as bad as she is. I recall one of her sisters being a bit of a gold digger too. They just put so much emphasis on money and nothing else. Look, money does make the world go around, we get it. And nothing else. Well, you need to work hard at all of it and don't take shortcuts if you really want the money. This will probably be my last update unless Lily tries something crazy again, so you might as well expect it. Here's to hoping she finally leaves Nathaniel and me alone for now until the end of time.
So, we learned that at the altar, Nathaniel breaks up with her right in front of everybody, right there at the wedding altar, and that is the part where the comment section starts to differ. A lot of people, if not everyone that I saw in the comment section, was clearly against Lily. That was not objecting, but what everybody was not agreeing on is how she was embarrassed at the wedding. A lot of people believe that should have been a private matter, and a lot of people believe no, she needed to be exposed, but you know what? It could lead to some mental health issues later on down the road from all the humiliation. And I do want to know what you guys think about that. Are you on the side where, you know what, she needed to get some sort of karma thrown her way? Or do you think it was a bit too much and both gentlemen should have just separated themselves from her life and moved on without her? She still would have suffered just as much because both of the guys in her life who she was leaning on would have just poofed up and vanished. So guys, let's talk about this one. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories like this every day. So if you do enjoy these videos, consider subscribing. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. And of course, remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya.